What is happening, everybody? It's time for NBA Live Before Lock. And guess what? Guess what? The dynamic duo, we are back together because it's been a minute. It's been a minute for all different kinds of things, Eric. I was away for a week. I took the very rare, the only vacation I've ever had in my life. So I was away for a week. But then also,
where'd you go, Greg? Where'd you go?
Literally nowhere. I had plans.
You had a week of vacation and you went outside once, I think is what happened.
Yeah. So I was, I mean, I've already brought this up on a couple of shows, so people don't need to hear me talk too much about it again. But yeah, I was planning on going to Florida, but it was just kind of hard to make the times work. I had plans a couple of days. My parents had plans a couple of days. There's also bad weather a couple of days. So it's like, if I'm going to be off for 7 days, do I want 2 of those days to be traveling? And then, so didn't end up working. And then also my parents are coming home in 2 weeks for Mother's Day anyway, where they're going to be staying at my house because my parents live in Florida now, old and retired. That's what the elderly Jewish people do. It's the halfway house to death. If you're an older Jewish person, you go from the Northeast to Florida. It's the stop in between. So they're retired down in Florida, but it gets really hot in Florida during the summer. So they do come and stay at my house during the summer. So they're going to be up for Mother's Day in a couple weeks anyway. So it's like, all right, I'm going to see you guys in a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to see them for a couple of months. So I ended up playing a little bit of golf, saw some friends, saw some family, and now, as a result, I get to do the most important thing, which is NBA Live Before Lock with my friend Eric. So do us a favor, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've also got some really good deals going on here, so I want to tell you guys about that as we go here. But most importantly, we've got this DFS slate to talk about. We've got news that broke as well. I'm a little surprised by it because even though he was questionable in Isaiah Stewart, I actually thought he was going to play today, Eric, but that's not the case. Isaiah Stewart is out. We saw this situation last game as well where Stewart didn't play, some extra minutes to Jalen Duren. Paul Reed played the backup center minutes. What are you liking from Detroit today in light of Isaiah Stewart being out again?
Yeah, Isaiah Stewart kind of changes the dynamic. Obviously, I think the main thing is Paul Reed just goes from being somebody you have 0% of, probably doesn't see the floor, to potentially playing 12 minutes, 13 minutes. And considering Detroit did get the split there, this isn't like something where they're down 0-2 and going to play Duren 42. I think you're going to get legitimate 12, 13 minutes probably out of Paul Reed in the backup role. And he played really well. If you watch that game over the course of the 11 minutes that he played against the Knicks there, it was 6 points, a block, a rebound. But like at postseason DFS, he's a great fantasy producer at 3,100, who we know is going to see the floor, barring like they just have some change of heart. But he played well enough where I don't think that's the case. And I think throughout this show, he's the guy whose ownership I'm going to be paying attention to the most of, purely because I could see him getting pushed to like the 40-45% range. Currently, we have him around 20. He's optimal around 40. Very curious to see kind of what happens with him throughout the show. But the other thing, of course, is what happens with Jalen Duren, because Duren, I felt like they needed to have his rebounding on the floor. We've seen some overlap in minutes for Mitchell Robinson, Karl Anthony Towns in this series. Only 5 minutes last game, but 5 minutes isn't zero. And Jalen Duren needs to be out there for rebounding purposes. You have a great rebounding 3 in Josh Hart that's also out there for the New York Knicks. Like, you have to find ways of keeping Duren on the floor. So 6,300 for him on DraftKings. He is definitely going to be somebody that we talk about throughout the show as well.
Yeah, and if you look at the projections we have right here, here's where we're at on these guys. So Jalen Duren, $6,300. Kind of curious that he wasn't priced up more, considering how well he played last game. But $6,300, we've got him in for 35 fantasy points, 38% ownership. Definitely one of the stronger points per dollar options overall on the slate. And then Paul Reed, yeah, looking like a serviceable value play here because his price point also nothing significant, $3,100. These guys probably should have been priced up a little bit more, but alas, they are not. So Paul Reed, we got him in for 17 minutes. That has him at 17.5 fantasy points. And here's the thing that I also think is pretty good for us. The Pistons won last game. Considering they won, I assume they just kind of roll out the same rotation did last game. If it worked last game, then we would expect them to do something more or less the same. Where this really could have been a headache is if Stewart was out again, but maybe they got their asses kicked last game or something like that. Then you could see them saying like, hey, we're down 2-0 in the series. We got to rework some of our rotations here and try to figure out a different way to go about doing it. I think the center rotation just kind of plays out the same as it did last game.
I'll take it a step further. I think Detroit's been the better team in this series for 7 of 8 quarters. Like, legitimately, it was one fourth quarter of campaign of all people that really salvaged that game one for the Knicks. Yeah, I'm completely with you.
So as far as other players go on the Pistons, anybody else who really stands out to you as a benefactor from the absence of Isaiah Stewart? You know, we saw
Yes.
extended minutes from Dennis Schroeder
That's
last
the
game,
guy.
and he ended up playing
Yep.
well. But what is it that you're seeing from Detroit outside of just the bigs?
Yeah, so what's happening is, like, obviously this is just a backup five, but like we're seeing fewer minutes for Paul Reed than what we saw for Isaiah Stewart in the backup role. Now, it's been 2 games of the postseason, so like I don't want to say that that's like a foregone conclusion. That I mean, I thought Isaiah Stewart was like a great piece for them to have for this series because he can kind of be multi-dimensional, can play some four potentially where you drop Jalen Duren and him in the same lineups. But obviously, we haven't gotten to see that because of the health of Stewart. But now I think that just shores up what the rotations are. Dennis Schroeder, his minutes have been very, very solid. Asar Thompson, he's had massive foul trouble, but his price tag remains cheap, 4,700. I think Cade Cunningham, rightfully, sitting like in that 23-24% range. I'm getting a little bit more, a little bit higher optimal percentage here at Stokastic today. And then Jalen Duren, Paul Reed. Those are obviously the other two guys. I'm very curious to see my lineups that have Duren and Reed together because I think they're just both such standout plays now that you get Stewart out that I want to see what the Sims tool is going to be giving to me as far as overlap goes. But it solidifies, I think, Asar Thompson pending foul trouble. It solidifies Dennis Schroeder and Malik Beasley. I think he's the one guy for Detroit I don't really know what to do with. He needs to go completely nuclear shooting the basketball, but he's such an interesting piece for this series because I've just called him super poor man Steph Curry, running in circles, gives at least a little bit of a headache and a different look than anybody else can for the Detroit Pistons. You have to account for where Malik Beasley is on the floor because of his exceptional three-point shooting, but he's 5,100, and his minutes are the ones that I think can be extremely volatile. Dennis Schroeder's just such a great piece to have in the postseason, whether it was with the German team in FIBA 2 years ago, the German national team at the Olympics last year. And it didn't work for like a hot stint in Golden State, but otherwise he's like a functional NBA player to have as like your backup point guard. And in this case, sharing the floor a lot more. And I think it's shored up with the absence of Isaiah Stewart.
By the way, if you guys do have any questions for us, hit us up in Discord. We'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Coach DFS asked us who our single entry locks are, so we could touch on that in a little bit here as well. Though I do want to put a bow on the overall injury talk that we have for the slate because we've talked about one guy who has already officially been ruled out in Isaiah Stewart, but he is not the only important player who is on the injury report for today, and definitely a situation that is pretty difficult to navigate because this is news that we are not going to have prior to the slate starting, or at least I assume we're not going to have prior to the slate starting. Michael Porter Jr., he is questionable to play. First, I want to know this, Eric. Do you have a particular lean on whether you expect Michael Porter Jr. to be in or out?
They said they wanted him to play and that they were optimistic about his status. That was at least the blurb for it. I got to think that he's going to play. I think we would have a pretty good inkling right now, like what that would be otherwise. But everything I saw was that the Nuggets are very optimistic. I mean, that was the exact quote from Adelman. I think he plays like 75%. Do you have a lean?
So after last game, I thought he was going to sit. The reason I thought he was going to sit is he took a pretty bad fall. He insisted on staying in the game. And I guess fall isn't really the right way to describe it, but it was like it was a turnover. He dove for the ball. He kind of landed awkwardly as a player landed on him. And it looked like they wanted to take him out of the game. He talked himself into staying in the game, but then he was running up and down the court, not being able to move one of his arms and holding it with his working arm. It's like, dude, what are we doing here? If somebody throws you the ball, you only have one functional arm, and that arm is holding your not working arm. So they had to take him off the court like 30 seconds after he got hurt. So I saw that, and I was like, all right, I don't think he plays next game. But then all the talk we've heard coming out of the team since then is that it seems like they're expecting him to play. So I don't really know. I expect he's going to be a game time decision. They're going to have him warm up and see how he's going to go out there and play and see how he actually looks while he's warming up. I think he's really 50-50.
Okay, at 50-50, that's closer than I thought. I mean, I'm just taking them at face value to some extent. it's not Mike Malone. Mike Malone, I would put zero regard into whatever he said. He was a damn dirty liar. So even though probably a weird timing for firing, at least I have a better gauge on this Adelman character that he might actually be telling us the truth. But very optimistic is interesting wording from him. I got to say that much. It's enough to have me think closer to playing than anything. So I'll stick with like 75%, like a minus 250, minus 300 favorite for it. But if he ends up sitting, we see plus 250, plus 300 dogs come through all the time in sports. So it's definitely something that can potentially happen. And then if you backloaded your lineups, you're definitely sitting interesting because Russell Westbrook would definitely be a must-have guy in that scenario.
Yeah. So there's a lot of guys who would look really good if Michael Porter Jr. isn't able to play, because you're getting into a scenario where if he is out, then all of a sudden it's extra usage for all of the other guys on Denver. But then also, like you said, Russell Westbrook, more minutes for him. Peyton Watson, like I wouldn't play Peyton Watson right now, but he's a viable value option in the event that Michael Porter Jr. doesn't end up playing. And then also, like a little bit of boosts for Jokic, a little bit of boost for Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown. One thing that is nice about this, the way the other playoff slates have been set up, we've had early games and then one island game that's been late. Tonight we have 2 late games. So I think we should have flexibility to make some changes here, kind of no matter whether Porter's in or out. So I'm going to be building my lineups as if he is in for now.
Yeah, I am too. Mainly because I said that, but yeah, it would have to be a very specific time window, like 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, but up until 10 p.m. Eastern time, you'd basically just be sitting on that news and hoping, that it didn't drop until then. If you're somebody who's particular to late swap, and you'd have to like make some concessions from OKC Memphis, but I think nothing's really going to have me bypass Paul Reed as far as value goes at his current ownership. If that changes, that's one thing. But like, I do think the Knicks and Detroit are 2 teams that have decent enough value pieces, whether it's Dennis Schroeder, we talked about, Thompson, where you can play him small forward. And I think he's just somebody who's going to look a little bit better now relative to later. If you do get a Peyton Watson, Russell Westbrook type combo that opens up, I guess my other question is like, is it a 6-man rotation? Like, is there a world where we see like Julian Strawther dusted off? Or somebody else, because like it is 1-1 and it's been a 7-man rotation basically with Watson and Russell Westbrook off the bench. Like, we saw a couple of minutes for Jalen Pickett, a grand total of 5 and 7. So like 7 and a third of guys that are active here. Is there anybody else on Denver in the event that Michael Porter Jr. was out that you'd want to get to?
I don't think so. No.
Then
like
you don't have to worry about playing Paul Reed is my point. Yeah.
It's too thin for me.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm thinking is like, I don't think I have to do a crazy amount purely because like, what's the opportunity cost of playing Paul Reed at 3,100 relative to all of those other guys that are going to play way fewer minutes that are like the 3,100, 3,200, or what in that case, 3K guy in Julian Strawther or Pickett at 3K or whomever else. Like, I don't know. I think we probably have to give a pretty decent bump to Pickett in the event that you end up getting him out. Like, he could go from 5-7 minutes to like 12-14, especially if Russ doesn't play as well as he played the first 2 games of this series, which is very, very live to happen. He's still Russell Westbrook, but I don't know. It's definitely something you want to keep in mind as you're building lineups, but because Paul Reed exists at 3,100, I don't really think that there's any other concession you have to worry about on the cheap end or like some value you're missing out on that you wouldn't be able to go to. I'm just going to kind of play it for face value for now.
Yeah, and let's now start answering some of the questions we have and just looking at the slate overall from a broader sense and look at some of our top overall options that we're liking now that we've gotten through some of the injury news and whatnot, because I think that what it is that we're dealing with right now is probably about the same as the situation we're going to have heading into lock as far as not knowing the Porter situation. And I don't think we're going to see any kind of unexpected starting lineup. So whatever we've got built out now, it's probably going to be, more or less what it is that we are going to be playing heading into lock. But some questions from Discord. First from Coach DFS. He wants to know, Eric, who are the single entry DK locks. So if you're playing a lineup in single entry, who are the players you think you would not be able to go without in that single entry?
John Morant is 7,600 in a game that's an 8.5 point spread. John Morant. I'm not playing single entry without John Morant today. I'm not playing single entry without Jalen Duren or Paul Reed. One of those two is definitely going to be in my lineup. I'm not sure which yet. And I think that's probably it. I mean, John Morant, it's just like everything Greg preaches all the time, historical pricing. What's the historical pricing been on John Morant in these kind of situations forever? 9K, 9,200. They are at home. They're down 0-2. His minutes could be absolutely off the chain. Could he be insanely inefficient like he was the first two games of this series? Like, there's absolutely no doubt that that is definitely the case. But considering he's in less than half of the field's lineups at the moment, and we've got him optimal like right at half, he played 40 minutes. He was 10 for 25, only put up 39 fantasy points, and yet there was still a path to him in a game that they lost by 19 working out. I got to think they're going to score 100 points in one game this series, and John Morant at this price tag is like, there's no way that I'm playing single entry without him today.
I agree with you. He's going to be really popular. We've got him projected for nearly 50% ownership, but I don't understand the price. Like, why is this John Morant's price? Why is he $7,600? I get the matchup is difficult, but this is John Morant. He is one of the better fantasy producing point guards in the league. What is the algorithm looking at where it's like, hey, John Morant, $7,600? No, he should be more expensive than that. He's just so woefully mispriced that it is hard to get away from him. In large field tournaments, I have him in a little bit more than half my lineup, so slightly overweight to the field. I agree with you, though. Really strong option for single entry. For me, Jalen Duren at center. I think his minutes ceiling is a lot higher than people realize. Now that I'm saying this, I'm going to end up talking him into getting into foul trouble, but they clearly intended on playing him a ton last game because he did play a ton. And even though he picked up 5 personal fouls, they still had him out on the court at the end of the game. And the minutes breakdown, we ended up getting, 37 minutes from Duren and 11?
37 to 11.
Yep. So, like I said before, I think the rotations are going to be pretty much the same unless Duren ends up getting into foul trouble. So, like I said, I might be just summoning foul trouble for Jalen Duren now as I'm saying this, but I think we're pretty live to see the same thing as last game where Duren plays like 36, 37 minutes, and then Paul Reed plays like 10 to 12 minutes or something like that. So one adjustment that I'm going to be making relative to our projections is I'm going to be giving a couple of extra minutes to Duren and taking a couple of minutes away from Paul Reed when I submit my final lineups. And it looks like we're getting a data update as well. That's going to make some adjustments here. But anyway, as this pertains to DK's question, Coach DFS, I really like Jalen Duren today because he has not seen a price adjustment and he played a crazy amount of minutes last game. He's a really good fantasy producer.
Yeah, when you said 17 minutes, I actually hadn't seen that. I ran the Sims and I've got my own stuff that I'm kind of looking at as far as like what I'm looking at from a betting perspective. But I would never project. Like, I think there's a world where Paul Reed plays over 15 minutes, but that world is basically during foul trouble. Otherwise, we've seen this all the time this year. Isaiah Stewart's been the backup 5. You'll trim it down to like 32-16 or 30-18 in the event that it was him as the backup. But when it's been Paul Reed, they are very immune to having him out there defensively, sitting out there getting roasted, toasted, burnt in an oven. So Duren at 6,300 is just very, very difficult for me not to want to get more of. Again, Paul Reed, somebody I'm definitely going to get to in lineups at 3,100. I'm definitely going to be playing him in 20 max. You know, I'll maybe roll out a couple of lineups in the $20 with him, but more than likely, Jalen Duren is going to be the guy that I'm really prioritizing.
Yeah, so for me, Duren, John Morant, find both of them really difficult to stay away from for a single entry. Let me see if there's anybody else I consider. And by the way, he's not asking us like the best place to see who are the guys we're considering must plays. So I'm going to say Duren for me, John Morant. Another one as well. I liked him a lot last game, and I still like him a lot. The field has kind of gotten away from him. Not entirely, because he's still fairly popular. We've got, let's see, where is he? All right, here we go. Yes, we have Asar Thompson, at least in our last run, projected for 28% ownership.
Killing me.
I had Thompson in 80% of my lineups last game. Did it work out? No, not really. But it's not. It didn't work out because it wasn't because like he's a shitty fantasy producer or anything like that.
He can't keep his damn hands to himself.
He just got killed by Jalen Brunson, getting him into foul trouble. So Thompson fouls out in how many minutes did he play last game? Like 19 he fouled out or something like that. What was it?
It was like 22 minutes or something.
He played 20 and a half minutes last game. He played 20 and a half minutes. So if he's able to avoid foul trouble, I don't see any reason I shouldn't view Asar Thompson the same going into this game as I did going into last game. The difference is he's just not as popular anymore. He's just a guy on the slate, project for 28% ownership. We've got him projected for 24 minutes, and his minutes are really hard to know what to do with because we didn't see. We talked about how we think the rotation, generally is going to be the same this game as last game, but we were talking more about like the dynamic between Jalen Duren and Paul Reed. The one change that I do think we should see this game, Asar Thompson, assuming he could avoid foul trouble and fouling out, I think Thompson is live to play north of 30 minutes. He's somebody who I really, really like as, not a contrarian option, but I think he's way more upside than the field is recognizing here.
Agree with you. It sucks. I also think like this is always like the tough part, but when you get these smaller slates with more public that are maybe interested, or it's like, oh, it's a much more comfortable click, I think, for people to click on Dennis Schroeder at 4,300 for value. I think it's a much easier click for people to click on Lou Dort, who played 33 minutes last time out in a competitive spot. Like, you got to think his minutes are going to be more secure. Because it hasn't happened in 2 games for Asar Thompson, if you told me we got to the flip and you told me one player in like this mid 4K range who was already pulling ownership that ended up lower than we were projecting, I 100% am taking Asar Thompson in that conversation, right? Like, he's played 23 and 21 minutes. It really hasn't panned out for him in the series. He's just been in crazy foul trouble in both of them. And eventually what happens is he keeps his damn hands to himself, and he's going to be underrepresented. And I get it. We have Dort, we have Aldama, who is pulling a ton of ownership as well at 4,600, where we saw the flip. They're probably going to get away from all of these Zach Edey minutes going forward here. He played 20 and 26 the first 2. Didn't really work out as much. I think Aldama probably, alongside Jaren Jackson Jr., probably longer for this series, pending what OKC does. I definitely feel better about the chances of Thompson not getting completely pushed way up to the top. I feel pretty terrible about Dennis Schroeder and Santi Aldama because I do think they're the 2 guys that end up just getting jammed by the field.
Here's something that I think in general is probably a pretty good angle for playoff DFS. If there's something weird that happens to a player that you really liked in a game, like they get hurt, they get in foul trouble, they have like a weird performance, you should just expect their role to return the next game to whatever it is you anticipated to be in that game. Like, here's a prime example. Michael Porter Jr. Nobody wanted to play him last game.
Correct.
For reasons that like sort of made sense if you only looked at a 1-game sample size, but didn't make sense if you looked at the entire season, where game 1 of the Clippers Denver series, Porter was terrible. It was one of the worst games he played of the entire year. So what happens? He gets benched. Russell Westbrook closes over him. And then all of a sudden you see like prop lines, projections. Everybody's anticipating game 2 that Michael Porter Jr. just plays the same role he played in game 1 and ignoring what happened the first 82 games of the season. And it's like, what sample size is more relevant, those 82 games? Or is it more relevant what it is that ended up happening in game 1 of the playoffs? And what the field ended up thinking was game 1 of the playoffs was more important than the 82-game regular season. Michael Porter Jr. goes unowned in that game. He breaks the slate because he just had a relatively normal game for himself. Asar Thompson's a good fantasy producer. We have him projected as a 0.99 fantasy point per minute guy. We have him in for 24 minutes. His minutes are definitely a little bit hard to nail down. But if he can avoid foul trouble, I do think that we're going to see Asar Thompson play close to 30 minutes. And once again, good points from a fantasy producer, 0.99. If you get those extended minutes from him, he could be the Michael Porter Jr. from a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it's nice doing shows with you for the last couple of years because we kind of know where each other are thinking on certain things. But like, I do my betting show the night before, and I talked about how the best way to attack that game in game 2 was taking the under of Russell Westbrook rebounds and assists, because he had an outlier rebounding game relative to the guys that were on the floor, and he played over Michael Porter Jr. I was like, this could just as easily just flip. And so I took overs on Michael Porter Jr. in points, and I took unders on rebounds plus assists for Westbrook, which ended up working out almost like threading the needle, because Russell Westbrook, if you went PRA, I think he still had like 14 points or like scored quite a bit, I know, in that game. But it just came down to like 4 offensive rebounds was just such an outlier from game 1. And yeah, I think recency bias is a huge part of playing these DFS slates. And my buddy Rinpack, when I did the Slate Starter podcast with him, and obviously we've been friends for almost a decade now, and we've talked NBA together forever, ever. And, it comes down to like, what other people do, like this time of year, when you only have 3 games and a third of the teams on today's slate have new coaches as of like 2 weeks ago. So it's like extra important to be trying to read the tea leaves of what the public's going to be doing. I do think Asar Thompson ends up getting drilled down a little bit in ownership. Like I'm convinced he will not get over 30% ownership no matter what here.
By the way, you are muted in playback.
Of
You were
course
before,
I am.
you just randomly got muted. So just let me know. I've been making jokes about it. But
it.
you are muted. So for the people who, for whatever reason, are interested in hearing Eric, we're
God
working
damn it,
on...
Greg. Why would you're so mean to me? Like when I don't even know it. It's also funny, but it's not funny. So
it's pretty damn funny. You know how I know it's funny? 3 laughing emojis in playback. How can it not be funny when it gets numbers like 3 laughing emojis? That's a stamp of approval.
Those are rookie numbers. We got to get them up.
You know how else I know it's funny?
How?
Here we go, Eric. We haven't done a show together in a couple of weeks, which can only mean one thing. I don't know how we could go through a show and not bring up the exotic play of the night. So the animation is played, and now we got to hear it from you. Which direction are you going, Eric? Who is your favorite exotic tonight?
We're going to be going to value today, and I'm just higher on his minutes. But it's Alex Caruso. It has to be. Like, what are we doing? I know. Go ahead. Go ahead and have my sloppy seconds. Go ahead. It's fine. Alex Caruso, 22 minutes in a competitive game environment last time, still ended up 19. You understand that they were very careful with his minutes throughout the entire regular season. And if you saw the NBA Cup final, like he plays more. You see the first competitive game there, the game 2 for the first, 3 quarters of that game. Alex Caruso played more. He's going to play more this time of year because his on-ball defense is 99th percentile in dunks and threes. He's been one of those guys for the last 5 years I've talked about. He can help a championship team. He did it for the Mickey Mouse Lakers. It's incredible what he's able to do on that side of the floor. And he's not exactly the worst shooter on planet Earth either, finding the bucket. And people are going to leave him alone on Memphis, let him go out there, comb the desert, do what he will. But the guy has just been a Memphis killer all season long. I don't care about defense versus, or player versus opposition, but he's like perfect for this series. It's Alex Caruso, no doubt about it.
You've been played. My answer is not Alex Caruso. So
look at you.
You thought you were the only actor around here.
Oh my God. You take my job. Go ahead.
We have a 3-game slate. Nikola Jokic is 9% owned.
Yeah.
I get it. There isn't that much value on this slate. He's kind of hard to pay up for. Some of the value I actually do like is its center, like Jalen Duren. But as a result, we've got Nikola Jokic is 9% owned on DraftKings. Nikola Jokic over on FanDuel, also same number, 9% owned. If he has a really big game, which, by the way, series knotted at 1, there's a potential chance here that Michael Porter Jr. doesn't end up playing. That could mean a little bit more usage going to Nikola Jokic. This is a pretty easy guy to get overweight to the field too. So I'm going to be going Nikola Jokic, Eric. I mean, anytime you have a small slate where you get Jokic at 3%, at sub 10% ownership, like I want to be 2-3x the field for sure on him.
Yeah, daddy like a lot. So no problem here.
So Nikola Jokic, that is the direction that I want to be going. Also, there's other value I want to tell you guys about. If you guys want to have a chance to win some free stuff, I assume you like free stuff, right, Eric?
I love free stuff.
Yeah,
Tell me about the
exclusively.
free stuff.
People don't know this. Eric has been working here for free sandwiches and half-eaten bags of M&Ms for the last 5 years. That's all it takes. You just give Eric free stuff, and he's pretty happy with it. And you guys also should like some free stuff. And here's a very easy way that you could get a chance to win yourself some free stuff. Our friend Jorge, who has been crushing it in DFS, he's been a long-time sub, recently won an MLB GPP for $50,000, and he wants to give back to you. So what he did is he bought 5 MLB Sims Max subscriptions so that it could be distributed to you guys. And here's how we are going to be doing the drawing for this. Anybody who signs up for Portfolio EV, 14 days for free with the promo code Jorge, you sign up and this doesn't cost you anything. It is totally free for 14 days. You just enter the promo code Jorge. Link is down below in the YouTube description box. Get 14 free days of Portfolio EV, and that is going to enter you into a drawing to be one of 5 people to win an MLB Sims Max subscription. Check it out. It's totally free to sign up and enter the drawing, but also while you're there, check out all the different tutorials I've done, Lofty's done, that Ben's done as well. They're all up over on the site. Use Portfolio EV. Help supplement some of your DFS play. Another way that you can help build your bankroll by placing some bets with our market-based betting algorithm. We've got some bets right now playing in playback. So I know for a couple minutes there, you guys weren't able to hear Eric because he was muted in there. His microphone wasn't on, but it was okay because you're able to see some of the bets that were on the board, which is probably even more valuable than anything Eric was saying during that time anyway. So you sign up once again, totally free, promo code Jorge. You check out Portfolio Review for 14 days, and you also get a chance to be in a drawing to win an MLB Sims Max subscription. Give yourself a chance to win some big money like Jorge did this week. We're going to announce the winners tomorrow on NBA Live Before Lock. Josh and myself have got something cooked up to do a fun drawing on the show. So check it out tomorrow. Enter the lottery. Get yourself a chance to win. And shout out to Jorge, who's been killing it for a minute here. And here's Jorge's winning lineup from the other day. 50K. Not bad.
Bang.
Not bad. Shout out Jorge.
Bang.
Thank you as always for supporting the show.
He's the best. And you suck. But anyway.
Lots of questions starting to come in here as well. So let's see what we had for the super chats. I see one from YSN. I don't know if you noticed this, Eric, but out of nowhere, DK is back.
DK Tears is back? What?
It's back. All of a sudden, it came back. You want to know how I know it's back? Because we started getting super chats about it again. DK
Tears for fears.
And we've got from YSN24. He wants to know who are our top two, DK Tears' top 2 options. All right, so let's go into tier. And
tier 1 is Jokic. How about that?
And
spoiler alert.
Of course, the DraftKings app not working for me right now.
I got it for you. Tier 1 is without a doubt Nikola Jokic. Tier 2, Karl Anthony Towns. But if you want to tell me,
he wants to know our favorite 2 in each tier. So I'm just going to pull it up on the desktop version of the site since I can't get it to pull up on the app right now. And then we could go through each of the tiers here.
Jokic and Gilgeous-Alexander, tier 1.
Here it is, tiers. All right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. All right, NBA tiers. Tier 1, Jokic is very clear. Honestly, I know he asked for our top 2 favorite options in each tier. Just play Jokic in tier 1, though.
Play Jokic. Don't do anything else.
Who do you got in tier 2?
Evan Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year. Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, he was so of the early votes, they were all in for Mobley. So it wasn't like massively.
I just saw
the
Draymond
awards
Green
are
was pretty
settled
heavy there.
other than Zubats is somewhat live to win Most Improved Player of the Year, but it's almost certainly going to be Dyson Daniels. Kenny Atkinson won Coach of the Year. Like they're almost all decided. There was like a clear winner in pretty much all the categories. But
gotcha.
Anyway.
I didn't see Mobley odds, so I wasn't paying attention to that. I just remember hearing the Draymond Green ridiculousness that people were trying to push at the end. But yeah, tier 2, Karl Anthony Towns and Kawhi Leonard for me.
Cat, who, by the way, also, I think a pretty good bounce back option. People are bitter that he played poorly in game 2, was great in game 1. He was just uninvolved in the second half of that game. I think it's a good bounce back spot for Cat. I like him in tier 2 as well. Tier 3, that is going to be Ja Morant, number 1 for me. Another one where I think he's pretty clearly the top option. My second favorite option is going to be Desmond Bane.
Yep. Bane, my second. Yep.
Tier four, that is going to be Jalen Duren for me. Number one. Number two, I'm going to be going with Jaren Jackson Jr.
Those are my two.
Tier five. This is where it gets a little bit tricky because MPJ
Yes.
is officially listed as questionable. If he plays, I think he's the guy to be rostering in that tier. If he is out, then I think Westbrook and Aaron Gordon both look really, really good. I'm interested to see what happens with Zach Edey's minutes today because Memphis being down 2-0, and by the way, those games not being remotely competitive, I think the most logical change that Memphis can make to the rotation is giving Aldama extra minutes at the expense of Edey.
Correct. I definitely think Russell Westbrook, if Michael Porter Jr. out, is just like your clear number one here. So keep that for what you will. And there is late swap on tiers. So you have to be paying attention to that news. I'd want 100% Westbrook in the event that Michael Porter Jr. was out. So want to let that be known. As it stands right now, Michael Porter Jr. would be the guy that I would want number one. And number two is Aaron Gordon.
And then if we go to the final tier, that is going to be Santi Aldama and Asar Thompson for me.
Yep, those two for me as well.
All right, the next super chat that we have, it is from Seifdin Super. He wants to know, is it okay to play Dern and Reed in the same lineup? I mean, Paul Reed they're both relatively cheap enough where it's viable. It's not my preference to play them together. The upside of Paul Reed, I definitely think, is a little bit dependent on Dern getting into foul trouble or just like a crazy good points per minute game for Paul Reed. Like, I think Paul Reed is a viable value option, but I'm not going to go crazy playing Paul Reed. If you have them in the same lineup, in like one lineup, it's not the end of the world. But once again, my preference is to not do it.
He's my favorite 3,500 and under play by a mile. So take that for what you will. I think there's a world. I probably just don't want to do it. Center is so important. The more that I work through this with Duren and Zubats, and of course Jokic, super low owned, and Cat in a bounce back spot. Like for me, I find Paul Reed to be somebody that I'm still going to get to in some lineups, but I'm probably going to be 20% or less for sure.
Yeah, I'm updating everything right now because we do have ownership updated. Good. And projections, like I said a little bit ago, that we did nerf the projection a little bit on Paul Reed. We took a few minutes away from him. So now Paul Reed is projected for 9% ownership and 13.5 fantasy points in 13 minutes, where he was projected to be fairly popular at the top of the show. So rerunning my lineups now with the updated ownership here on Paul Reed. And I'll see what that ends up doing to my lineups. But the next question that we have here, it is a super chat from BD. He says, thanks for everything. Cat ownership percentage on DraftKings. He says, you two are the GOATs. So we have Karl Anthony Towns projected for just 7% ownership. I wish we could only play centers today, Eric, because there are so many centers I like. Karl Anthony Towns, I feel the same about Cat and Jokic. They are so underowned, and if either of them have just like a relatively decent game, people are going to be kicking themselves for not playing a single-digit owned Karl Anthony Towns or Nikola Jokic. But Cat 7% projected owned, Nikola Jokic 9% projected owned. I know he asked us for DraftKings, but still, I'll give it to you guys for FanDuel as well. Cat projected for 1% ownership on FanDuel, and Jokic projected now for 7% ownership. Now that it's updated, I want to be overweight to both of these guys.
Well, it was like the slate 2 days ago where I helped somebody make a 50K. I ended up making like 1,500 myself, but you and Josh decided to be jerk-offs to me yesterday. That was nice. And we got a $200 super chat because I basically called out that I'm just going to rotate through 4 power forwards on every lineup. And you know what Greg decided to do? He used it as an opportunity to further make fun of me rather than compliment me as a coworker in any way, shape, or form, because that's the kind of guy he is. Any opportunity he can get, he turns bright red because he's like, I know that I'm going to make fun of Eric, and that is the sole purpose that I was put onto this earth, and I will not give him any credit whatsoever, and may God have mercy on his soul.
It is true. There's a guy, he leaves us a massive super chat. He came in third in a GPP, credited Eric for it, which I used that super chat just to be like, there's no way. How is that possible? Eric?
And Josh is like, oh, Eric's so dumb. Oh,
so the other thing I didn't consider until now, though, is EMAC is also here. EMAC writes an article every day. His name is Eric. It likely wasn't you he was talking about, if we're being honest.
Nick Willer in the chat. It was me. Dude, you're the man. I appreciate you. I hate everybody I work with. So you're the man. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, go ahead and give EMAC the credit. Go ahead. He's been on the planet for thousands of years, roaming around playing DFS. Back in the day, they were playing. You think that there weren't contests in DFS in the arena? Absolutely. In Rome, EMAC was out there bookmaking, finding edges in the quarter market so that he could buy wine after the gladiators finished up. Like, let's be serious. The guy is out of control.
Nick Willer, who is in chat right now, shout out to Nick for being back. He has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever right now in chat. And please do it, Nick. Please credit the proper Eric for helping you win your GPP. I'm just saying,
dude, I need this. You don't understand. I need this so bad. I need to feel fulfilled. Don't do this to me.
Nick, you have the opportunity to be a legend right now. I'm just throwing it out. The ball is in your court. Love to see the success you had. You have a tremendous content opportunity on your plate right here, though.
Next, stop posting. Go back in your coffin. Leave me alone.
All right, some questions from Discord, which, by the way, also, if you guys sign up for any subscription here at Stokastic, it does come with access to our Discord channel as well. And, oh, look, he said right here, he said, no Lindquist. Look, it was not you. He said, no Lindquist.
No, he...
He says right here, he said, no Lindquist. No. It was not you.
No, he's saying no. It was me, and he says Joseph Collab says Lindquist all day. I think that this is all me all day, and you should take back your slander.
Nick is saying it right here. He says no Lindquist. I have your back. So he's saying he has my back, and it was not you that helped him. It's right there. It's in text. You could read it.
I want to scream sometimes. This is why I've had a great, shows have been so fun for 2 weeks, and then you showed up. This is great.
Yeah.
Somebody said I think it was the Lindquist puppet. That's hilarious.
Look at this. Yeah, Josh plays DFS. Don't let them gaslight you, Eric. You heard of me, Max. Stand up for yourself. Don't let this Eric Lindquist take credit for you. Stand up for yourself, Eric.
No Lindquist has ever helped me. Yeah, my parents hate me too. It's fine.
Once again, if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help support this content here. We've got OKOS in Discord. Yes, what is the best and worst game to target? It's a 3-game slate. I don't know that I've got exposure all over. I don't have like a specific. There's not a game I'm going out of my way to target. There's not a game I'm going out of my way to avoid on a 3-game slate.
Facts. Yeah, that's just like a ridiculous concept. Like, if you want to game stack something, like, I don't even know what the answer would be because it's dependent on Michael Porter Jr. But like, there's a case to be made for game stacking all 3 separately here because, like, it is what it is. But like Memphis OKC, if it stays competitive, you could see the main OKC guys play more minutes, Memphis guys play more minutes. Like, that's probably the one I pick purely because of what the minutes upside can be relative to what they've been for each one of those guys. But no doubt about it, don't make it an active thing unless you're like hand building out one specific lineup to do that. Don't do that.
The next question that we have from Discord, it is from Daniels. Daniels wants to know, how much Morant do you have in 150 lineups? So I'm at 60% in my last run, thinking about playing at just 50%. Also wants to know what it is that we're doing with Paul Reed. So I do have one final Sims update going right here. So I don't want to tell you anything that is inaccurate, but on the last run that I have 55% of John Morant. And I also, as I just realized I fucked something up on this, going to have to restart it again. I didn't have very much of Paul Reed, though. I'm taking some shots on Paul Reed, but it's not going to be very many. I'm going to have, but John Morant will absolutely be in more than half my lineups. Paul Reed, I'm taking some shots on. He's not going to be a significant portion of my lineups, though.
Yeah, John Morant is in like everything that I'm doing. Yeah, I had 70%. We'll see where this run comes in at.
All right. We've got OKOS wants to know, who do we prefer as a pay-up option on the Clippers, Eric? Kawhi Leonard or James Harden?
Option 3, Zubats. But anyway, Kawhi Leonard, I really do like, but I liked him last slate. I can't believe I didn't bank anything last slate. I did well, but the last Denver and LAC slate, that is. But I gotta think. Yeah, it's gonna be Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi for myself.
Positionality more than anything. Like John Morant, Alex Caruso, Scottie Pippen Jr., Cade Cunningham, all guys that I have more of than James Harden.
Zach Attack, if Porter sits, who becomes a must play on FanDuel? I don't think there's anybody who becomes a must play in that scenario, but Russell Westbrook becomes the clear benefactor who I want to be going and playing as much as possible. Hard to say like must play territory, but a very, very strong play. He'd be the guy who benefits the most. Anybody else you would add as a must play on FanDuel in the event that we don't end up having Michael Porter Jr. out there tonight?
Yeah, he by far talked about that by far.
Mm-hmm. Next question, King Yusuf, thoughts on Brunson and Jamal Murray for an NBA GPP? So between Brunson and Murray, I prefer Brunson. I don't have very much exposure to Jamal Murray.
I don't have much exposure to either of them, if I'm being honest. Do you?
I've got 20% of Brunson, not as much of Murray though.
I had 10%. We'll see what it ends up at. Oh, Duke's awake. Oh, no, going back to bed. Never mind.
Next question, it is from JEW, wants to know Reed and the Thunder Studs or Jokic and Duren. Yeah, I prefer Jokic and Duren to Paul Reed and I guess SGA. Reed and Thunder Studs.
If you update our ownership, if you update our projections, you're not going to get as much Paul Reed. It's much more muted, which is good.
Yeah, like I said, I'm taking
10%.
some shots on him. I've got him in 10% of lineups right now, which I think is, reasonable to be playing some of him. But my preferred cheap option from Detroit, it is Asar Thompson.
100% agreed.
Asar Thompson is going to be the one for me.
Also, just so much Josh Hart now. So much Josh Hart.
What do you think some of the minute ceilings might look like for the Knicks? Because I've been thinking about this where...
Oh, yeah.
This series is 1-1. And if you look at our minutes projections, what we have for the Knicks, you got to be at least somewhat conservative in terms of you can't project these guys for 48 minutes or anything like that, or 46 minutes. We've got Brunson for 40, Anunoby for 40. We've got Hart in for 38. I have a feeling that we are going to see Josh Hart and Bridges just suck some games, so it's kind of hard to know what they're... If Bridges plays well, he could be playing an extraordinary amount of minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 44-minute game from Josh Hart, though.
Yeah, so we saw 30 because they didn't really have to push him all that much in game one. I've thought about this a lot, too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Foul trouble early on for him there, but just saying they also didn't have to go nuts because Cameron Payne went nuts in that fourth quarter is what I'm saying. But I think I'm probably going to attack it right before halftime because you're gonna be able to know. If Josh Hart doesn't check out of the game in the first half, you best believe I'm going to single game parlay everything live for the second half. I really think this is a sharp angle, is just having your phone up. If you see that he hasn't left the floor in the first 18 minutes of the game, just start single game parlaying everything because he won't leave the court in the second half. It's far more likely he sits a stint in a first half than a second half. And that's my point is if the numbers are relative to what they are in the first half and the game's competitive, there is definitely an edge, I believe, to single game parlaying everything together with Josh Hart for a second half and hoping that he just gets that 48-minute game. But I don't think the numbers will move as much as they should if he plays all 12 minutes in a first quarter, which is live. And you'll find out in the first 6 minutes of that second quarter, if Detroit, again, this is projected as a 1-point game. If Detroit is up a little bit, there's a chance you just see infinity minutes for all these dudes. And you could just do it with every single player, but probably won't do it before the game. I think it's probably going to be something I do live, which is a very, very, very rare situation for me where I'd rather I've got a hunch I'm going to do it then. No, I'd rather just see this first quarter and go from there.
So game one, Josh Hart got in mega foul trouble in the first half. He played almost the entire second half, though. 22 minutes he played in the second half of game one. Josh Hart's live to play a ton of minutes today. Yes, I think we're going to see Tibbs do a Tibbs rotation today. This is such a high leverage game. 1-1, game 3 in Detroit. I think we're seeing big minutes out of the Knicks starters. I'm actually going to give all of them. I'm going to give all of them a little bit of a boost here. That's the last thing I want to do before we head into lock. I want to make sure that I have my lineups reflecting what I think is possible for Knicks rotations tonight.
Yep, it's going to be hold on to your butts is what I'm getting at. It's going to be really fun to see exactly how this all pans out. But I mean, we haven't really talked about the Knicks all that much throughout the show. Josh Hart is like a staple of my lineups, and I feel like I hadn't brought up his name one time. I don't know what to do with Jalen Brunson. Like, I really don't, because you just have Ja Morant for 1,000 less in a better game environment, playing 40 minutes, doing everything. And like, I got to think some of that usage drips over to Cat after only 11 shot attempts. I'm on the over of 21.5 points for him. Talked about that at length on Lindy's last night. Like, I don't know what to do with Brunson in this game environment, but I mean, I'm pretty confident 6,700 Josh Hart is going to play a bunch, barring foul trouble or injury.
Yeah. So, like in a vacuum, I like Brunson a lot, but I prefer Ja Morant.
Agreed.
So if it's a choice between the two, I would love to have at this price point. I would love to have like 40% of Brunson, but the opportunity cost is playing less of Ja Morant. So, like I'm getting to Brunson, but yeah, my preference is Morant. The Nick I get the most of is Josh Hart. He's got a favorable price tag. He's got good positional flexibility, and I really do think he's live to just play a massive, enormous amount of minutes.
Check this out. Ben P, $1.99 super chat. Thanks to Greg and Josh. He had to use caps lock in order to emphasize that I had no part in that, for helping me win 5K 2 days ago. You guys are the best. Really, really. I mean, I feel so loved today. Thank you.
Shout out
you
Ben P. Shout out. Thanks, man. Happy to help. Nice super chat. We appreciate it. Good man. And yeah, I saw Ben P. 5K. I saw him win over on FanDuel. He said it was the biggest DFS win of his career. So shout out to Ben P. Absolutely love to see it. Love to see the success you're having. Also, saw you were playing with the Stokastic Avatar, which all of you guys play with the Stokastic Avatar. There's no reason to not do it. You're going to get yourself a chance to win a GPP. And if you do, and you're using the Stokastic Avatar, you get some free stuff out of it. If you want other free stuff also, don't forget, promo code Jorge. Get yourself not give yourself 5. Get yourself a chance to win one of 5 MLB Sims Max subscriptions that we're going to be giving away tomorrow. All you have to do to enter the drawing is sign up for free at OddsShopper. 14-day free trial using the promo code Jorge. And that promo code is going to enter you into a raffle with a chance to win a free MLB Sims Max subscription. Let's get.
You know what time it is, Greg? We have 7 minutes.
I know, but we got so many questions in Discord.
Go ahead, go fly.
So we'll answer these questions in Discord, and then we'll hit the nuke of the night on the way out. Go. OKOS wants to know FanDuel best 2 guard combos for GPPs. He's thinking Brunson and Ja. I don't have an issue with Brunson and Ja being 2 guys that you want to be paying up for. I think that's totally reasonable. Also wants to know thoughts on OG Anunoby versus Mikal Bridges. I prefer OG Anunoby to Bridges.
Scottie Pippen Jr. is unavoidable on FanDuel. So not sure what else you're doing, but like FanDuel, I built lineups before the show, and I just know Scottie Pippen Jr.'s name was in every single one of them out of my top 150.
And JEW, does Schroeder benefit from? Yes. He wants to know, did Schroeder benefit from Asar's foul trouble? Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can't say for sure because you don't know how the game would have played out. But if Thompson didn't get into foul trouble, the most likely scenario is that he would have closed over Schroeder last game. That's the most likely scenario. I'm
a big stan for Dennis Schroeder, and even I can recognize that there was a definite perk there.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the minutes went directly. When Thompson came off the court, it was Schroeder who checked in. So there's no way around that.
Like 2 Ron Holland minutes, but whatever.
The people want it. I know you want it, Eric. So here we go. All right, we're short on time. The older Nuke of the Night animation actually does run about 20 seconds shorter than the other one. So wanted to make sure that we blew your cock off, but also wanted to give ourselves 15 extra seconds here. So, Eric, I know it's your favorite part of the show. Who's the Nuke of the Night?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming if you win White of the Night being Mr. Nikola Jokic, you're probably going to run that one back. I got to just throw it out there. He is just, I don't know what to do. Like, I just have to play this guy. You have to play this guy. We all just have to play this guy. He's a little bit underrepresented across every single spot. And yeah, I want all of the Josh Hart and all the land your Nuke of the night.
All right. So not bullshitting you, he was going to be who I was going to go with here because I do think that Josh Hart is going quite a bit underrepresented. So I'll go with somebody else, and that is going to be Asar Thompson. He was 60% owned last slate. Nothing has changed this slate from last slate other than he got in foul trouble last game. That's it. If he doesn't get in foul trouble last game and he's the same price point, he's probably 60% owned again today. Could he get in foul trouble again guarding Jalen Brunson? Absolutely. Jalen Brunson is terrific at drawing fouls. It draws the ire of people on the internet. They're very upset about how he goes about drawing fouls. But guess what? It's effective. He's really good at it. Asar Thompson was guarding him the entirety of the time he was on the court last game. That's why he fouled out in just 20 minutes. Could it happen again? Sure, but I don't think it's the most likely scenario. And I think that people are overestimating the likelihood of Asar Thompson fouling out just because it happened last game. So I like Asar Thompson a whole bunch. He is currently somebody I'm getting to a ton of exposure. He's actually my most rostered player as of right now. So Asar Thompson, Nuke of the night. That's the direction I want to be going to. Eric, we have got about 2 minutes left to go here before I'm going to be on playback with Ben Raza tonight. We're going to be watching the games. We're also going to be talking about the NFL draft a little bit. Don't forget, if you guys want to watch games with us on playback for the entire rest of the postseason, there is now a Stokastic package that you could buy in playback where you could watch all the games regardless, whether you have NBA League Pass, whether you have a cable subscription or not. Doesn't matter. If you sign up at Playback for $12, you do get access to all of the games that we have on screen over there. So I'll be in there with Ben in a couple of minutes. But before we get there, what are the final thoughts you have on the slate, Eric, if any, before we get to lock?
To an Eric and Eric show, that sounds like torture for everybody, including myself. But anyway, we love you, Emac, you old bum, you. Let's see. Overarching thoughts to round it all out. Pay attention to news. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. is a Q tag that will matter. Russell Westbrook, definitely a beneficiary. Peyton Watson goes from somebody who's like very, 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 very unlikely to work out for you, somebody who's like more likely to work out for you, but still not a priority by any means. Might want to take some shots on Jalen Pickett in the event that ends up being a thing, especially in Showdown. So we get questions about Showdown from time to time. I think Jalen Pickett's like an interesting Showdown character to be getting to in the event that Michael Porter Jr. were to sit for whatever reason. Otherwise, we talked about the single game parlay angle. I do think let it play out for a quarter and a half, and maybe jump on it. Prize Picks is a great spot where you can snag some second half lines. Obviously, your traditional sports books will have them as live lines. There's usually a lot of boosts this time of year that you can take advantage of as well. So pay attention to what those minutes are and see if there's any changes to any of the second half numbers or the projections as the game is playing out. Otherwise, hit that like button. And just a reminder, promo code Jorge is like the coolest thing I can remember in like 5 years as far as a promo at this site. You get a full, like there's going to be 5 of these, 5 MLB Sims max subs that are given away just by signing up and checking out a great product in Portfolio EV. So promo code Jorge on the way out. If you do one thing today that can support this channel, support this team, use this because promo code Jorge has never been done before. I can't remember a cross promotion like this. And to not take advantage of it is not just a mistake on your part, but it's a mistake in terms of like us being able to continue doing this programming. So we would love if you took advantage of it, loved if you could support it. And then head over to playback.tv/Stokastic. We got Ben, we got Greg. I like half of that combo. So check it out.
Boy, you should be nicer to Ben. I don't know why you would say negative things about Ben.
It was Ben that I was talking about that I did not like. You are correct.
Yeah, I don't really understand why I wouldn't like Ben. He is the nicest person. Never heard him say anything negative about anybody. So, all right. I mean, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. But yeah, we'll be over in playback in a minute. Also, Michael Porter Jr. news. We're still waiting on an update from him. He's officially questionable. I have a gut feeling that we could see a change in the starting lineup for Memphis. I wouldn't be shocked to see Zach Edey head to the bench and Santi Aldama starting. So be on the lookout for that. I know they really like Zach Edey, especially the new coach. It seems like they kind of try to force him on the court, but it's not been working in this series. And if they aren't going to make that, like maybe Scottie Pippen Jr. goes to the bench, like maybe that's something that they could do as well. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out over in playback, guys. I just dropped the link into the YouTube chat. I'll drop the link in a couple of other times as well. Click that link. Join Ben and I over in playback. See you guys over there. Good luck tonight.